الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Alhamdulillah, when Mr. Mudassir asked me to be a moderator of this session, I was really excited. And by the time I came here, especially this morning, the excitement kept increasing and increasing. Alhamdulillah, what I realized is we have a lot of he for she in this session, this summit. So we have a very strong team, the panelists by my side. We have an entrepreneur, a founder of the Metropolitan Law Firm in person of Ummahani Ahmad Amin. She is an expert and has gathered a lot of experience and expertise in both public and private sector. She has dedicated her time, expertise, and also as a trustee of Metropolitan Waqf, an Islamic endowment fund established to champion and facilitate formal education in northern Nigeria. So she is a practitioner in the field of women entrepreneurship. So also with us, we have Ayeesha Bala-Wunti, the founder and CEO of Pen Promise Ventures. She is also a great woman entrepreneur, an expert in alternative financing, which are into funding ventures for investment, especially in the underserved African enterprises. So also with us, we have the great Naimatu Abdullahi, which is the deputy manager and team leader in marketing of Jaiz Bank firm. Naimatu, we expect a lot from you because I don't really want to say it, but what we intend to have is for you to have a model, a product specifically designed for women entrepreneurs in respect to Islamic financing, so as to reduce the barriers and challenges women actually face in the conventional banking or financial services. The last but not the least, as Mr. Mudassir have said, is Dr. Shukurat Bello, the founder, the CEO of Shafana Innovate Hub, and also an associate professor of entrepreneurship and management in Bayero University, Kano, Dangote Business School. So also she's a certified Sharia advisor and auditor with OFI and Bahrain. Am I right? Yeah. So from this vast, experienced and experts in the field of women entrepreneurship, I'm very sure by the end of the day we are going to have more than what we really expected. Nigeria, I don't want to mention this word or use it, but women in Nigeria, if we look at statistics from the Gender Center of Excellence, Central Bank of Nigeria, the recent statistics depicts women to be, we have 57 million rural women that are into entrepreneurship. And out of the 57 or 53 million adult women, which comprise of 61%, only 25% of the women are formally banked. Over 16 million of the women, more than 50% relied on informal financial services. So with Islamic finance, We are hoping that the inclusion and the widening gender gap that is the norm in the country will somehow be reduced. We have a lot of products in the financial services, which Hajia Ummahani will take us through, the Waqf, the Zakah, the Qard Hasan, even the Sadaqah, are all kind of special instruments used in financing businesses which women will really benefit from. So I don't want to take much time. Let's hear from the expert, Hajia Ummahani. You have the stage. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Good morning once again, and thank you for having me. Abubakar Sadiq and Aminu Yako, they have set the stage for us. I'm very excited today that we have started with telling us what women do with what they do. It's very exciting. But then this is very superficial compared to what is going on. I had a long speech before, but hey, I'd rather, just speak and talk about all the challenges and what we can do to progress as women. First of all, this is an Islamic Finance Summit conference, and it talks about women and women's inclusion, entrepreneurship, and the rest, their rights to do a lot of work in that space. I know from the journey I've come through as a woman, I know that it's a long journey. I know that being educated, it's going to be the first instance for you to be in that space where you can be able to even allow your voice to be heard. So education is the most important thing. But then if we're not educated, what next? We need to be mentored. We need someone to tell us. I didn't have anyone that mentored me. I was married at 17. By 19, I was a mother. But I forced myself to go to school, even when the odds were not there. So I feel that being a woman is not about, God has made you, and as a northern woman, as a Muslim woman, you have everything that is not working for you. Because first you have your religious and cultural, and your values are just different from any normal woman. And you must adhere while struggling to also meet up with expectations. So as a Muslim woman, I have always said, I've gone to several discussion events saying, okay, men, anything a woman can do, a man can do better, and all of that. I don't believe that. I believe that we are all structured in different ways. I believe that a woman can be more multitasking than a man. Your brain can work better. You can do a lot of work better. So you don't need to compete with anybody. You're even the mother. You brought the man to the world. So what's the point of competing with anybody? So I just feel that we have to be intentional about not even trying to put ourselves in this competitive space. We should be able to say, okay, I'm a woman, I have a lot of disadvantages. Because first you have to multitask. You're a mother, you're a daughter, you're also working somewhere trying to make ends meet. So how do you multitask? How do you prove yourself to be a better human being for you, for your society, for your children, and for all the rest of the women? This is, I think, the most important thing for us. But so I'll just go through a few points I have jotted. To say that there are cultural issues, I have mentioned that there are cultural issues. Being a Muslim is different. Being from the north is also different. I say that from where I come from, we don't have a culture at all. Chairman Bintube will bear me that our culture is Islam. Anything you see a Shua Arab do, from the way they were given birth to till the way they died, it's slated in the Quran or Hadith or the Tabi'un. So you don't have any culture at all. Everything, from the way we get married, even our parties, the way we party, the way we wear our jewelries, we say that, okay, during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from his migration from Mecca to Medina, there was music, so we predicated upon that. So I grew up in that space, and I know that these cultural biases did not stop me from being regarded as one of the topmost lawyers in the north of Nigeria, and also in Nigeria internationally. And it did not stop me from being a mother, from being a grandmother, from being an employer of labor. So these cultural biases, I feel, should not be a stopping point for us women. Yesterday, again, we said about whether we have access to finance. Yesterday, you had Amal Hassan. All over the place she's gone. Nobody wants to give her finance because, one, she's a woman. Number two, they do not even think, especially you're from the north. I have been a lawyer for over 2 decades now. And when I started my law practice, the first thing they think of is, okay, let's help her. She has come, she's been disturbing us, let's help her. Because I always say, no, don't dash me. I have friends and family that will say, okay, I know it's difficult, Ummahani, so don't, I told myself, no, I'm not going to take any gift from anybody. I am going to take money for work. So if you say, Ummahani, let me give, I'll tell you, no, thank you. I want you to give me work. Thank you, I appreciate you've given me this. So this is what we're meant for. I have had cause for a judge in a courtroom to ask me, what are you doing in my courtroom? I was taken aback. I beg your pardon, my lord. He said, no, I'm sorry. Then he caught himself. He said, I'm sorry. Then later, he said to me, because I know you're not Kanuri, you're obviously sure. I said, yes, my lord. He said, I schooled in Maiduguri, and all you people do is wear jewelries, wear all the lafayas, go for weddings and all that. So I was taken aback when you were I was even confronted with you being all over the place in court, trying to gain your grounds. These are the things you face as a northern woman. Nobody wants to think that you can do anything better. So, but do you want to sit down and just wallow in your sorrows and say, oh, we're marginalized, we're doing this, we don't get a chance? Why don't you start something? And then the banks, even if you go to the bank, they did not give you, try something, little by little, gain confidence into what you are doing. And then eventually, you will see that sky is the limit. They will be looking for you. When we started the Islamic Finance Conference 2013, I had to run around and beg everybody, please come and speak at this conference. Come and partner with me. When I say partner, people think I need money. No, I don't want money. I just want you to put your name to it so it can be successful. And from 2013, we've had 6 Islamic international conferences for Islamic finance with speakers from all over the world. Islamic Development Bank, World Bank, African Development Bank, and people at a stage are begging me to speak at the conference because it has become high level. I have to choose who will speak. And if you come to that stage and speak the way I don't like, you're not adding value to that conference. I tell you no to your face that no, this is not how I want this conference to be. So I call the shots in this conference. And And that is because I have been persistent. I have been consistent, persistent, and I tell the world that I don't feel sorry for myself. I am not afraid of being a woman. I am confident that I will do what everybody thinks should be done. So I want the women in this room to look at this as it might be a story, but it's telling you that you must wake up. I have this client who came to me one day and said to me, please, I need you. She's not, they're not Nigerians. I need you to speak to my dad. It's just the two of us. He has a lot of wealth, but he thinks I cannot add value to what he's doing. So because of their culture, the man is looked at as someone who can do a lot better, and the woman will just sit down. So they were giving her salaries for doing nothing. She was traveling around the world. She was doing everything, and her brother one day called her a serial failure entrepreneur. And that made her sit up. And now she has one of the best factories in the branding and labeling industry in Nigeria. She only has one big competitor who she did not think she can come close to, but who thinks she is his competitor and he can do anything to stifle her out of business. And that is the power of being a woman. And lastly, I said cultural biases, and then what are the opportunities? There are a lot of opportunities. I have told you everything. I don't need to go back to that. But coming from me, trust me, the opportunities are in between. I had Aminu Inyako said that everything is there. There are a lot of challenges, but in between, you see the opportunities. When we started Islamic finance, we saw opportunities. Honestly, I did not start Islamic finance because I am that religious at that time. No. I started because I felt I started a law firm, and I've been out of circulation for about 3 years because I was an in-house counsel, and I felt that when I start, it would be very difficult for me to get these clients immediately. So what do I do to put food on my table? That was how I started Islamic finance. And today is history. So you have to see the opportunities in places where there are none at all. You have to read in between the lines. So what can we do leveraging on Islamic finance? Islamic finance usually provides a unique framework for you to work with. Yesterday, we had spent time talking about social infrastructure. We had spent time talking about this social infrastructure Waqf. You've seen the work that was done in Gombe. You've seen Lotus Bank has Waqf. We have a Waqf, Metropolitan Waqf. And what are we trying to achieve? We're trying to achieve, the embodiment of social infrastructure, making it work. And this Waqf can be used for women. For example, MetWaqf, we said is basically for education and nothing else. So when we went to Future Prowess, give us 50 students. And then we asked that these 50 students, 30 of them, for the love of not being too biased, I said 30 girls and 20 boys. But you know what? They ended up giving me 35 boys and 20 girls, 25, yes, 15 girls. So, and I asked why, that I'm not going to, and he said there are no girls. He said the girls are not as much as the boys. So coming from the Northeast again, there are no girls, there are no opportunities. So we have to create these opportunities for all of us. It's a ripple effect. If you are educated and you are from the North and you feel that what you have, you can share, please share. get young girls. And one thing we have lacked, all of us, including me, is mentorship. I didn't have anyone to mentor me. I just pray that I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to depend on anyone to give me sustenance. And that is why I'm here. But if I had the proper mentorship, I won't be talking to you here today. Probably I'll be talking to you globally, because I know that the sky is my limit. But then I'm limited by what I know and can do best. So if we have our younger ones and we're able to mentor them, then inshallah, we will be able to do a lot for the North. And for Islamic finance, again, you can go through Islamic microfinance banks. Those institutions are also there. You can do to give women the formal way of being empowered, employed. You can use the Mudaraba financing. You can use Musharaka. You can use a lot of other products to empower our girls, especially the Mudaraba financing in the microfinance banks. And of course, you can do Qard. If you do Qard, you give your sister 500,000, for example. No, not 500, 50,000. And she's selling little things. So 50,000, go and give me back my money in 3 months. She'll bring it back in a month. And that's the power of mentorship. That's the power of giving and helping each other. Finally, how do we encourage ourselves? Is by promoting events for women, mentoring them, and then, of course, leveraging on technology. If you leverage on technology, then you are not left out. What's my last? Because I'm for time. You said? No, I haven't. We're supposed to speak from here till evening. We will not be able to sort out our women issues. And yes, but you know, so just leave me alone. Thank you. So through the course of my career, I like to end that through the course of my career, I've always celebrated achievements, whether they're small or big. Whenever I have made any achievements, I celebrate them. And I want every woman to celebrate herself and see that we have to encourage ourselves, and then we encourage other women, because in Nigeria now we have a lot in the North where we have upcoming CEOs and they're doing tremendously well. And I am here to tell all the financial institutions here that please give women a chance, give women a break. We have a lot of ideas that are amazing, but then we don't have the finances, we don't have the mentorship. If a woman hijabbed herself and come to you, please listen to her. There's a lot you can do, because if you educate this one woman or you empower this one woman, you're empowering a lot, her sisters, her children, and everyone else. So thank you very much. I did not follow all that speech I wrote, but I am hoping that you get the drift. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hajia Ummahani, for your well-articulated speech. Actually, you have already said our minds, I'm very sure. Whenever I find myself in this kind of gathering where we're going to represent women, I always say, as she did, we are not propagating or advocating women rights or feminism. Actually, we've gone beyond that. What we actually do, we believe Islam have already given us enough rights as a daughter, as a wife, and as a mother. We don't have to do anything much. What we actually do is to promote empowerment. Yes, we believe a woman, a mother, is the leader of the society. The family as the basis or the smallest unit of a society has the mother as a lead. So when you empower a woman, as she said, you empower the society, the family, and the society at large. So women financial inclusion is the topic of today. And we have the managing director, deputy manager, and the team leader of Jaiz Bank, Naimatu. Islamic finance, as we all know, addresses two major issues. One is how to promote the profit-sharing formula as against the debt-based financing or the conventional financing. And secondly, how do we utilize the instruments in Islamic finance in order to include women, to bridge the gap, the widening gap that we mentioned earlier. Women to have a take, to have the assistance, the Qard Hasan, to benefit from the zakah, the waqf, and so many other instruments of Islamic finance. So you have the floor, Hajia Naima.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before I answer your question, Doctor, I think I need to just make a little disclaimer and also a clarification. I'm actually an assistant general manager and I'm a divisional head in charge of Kano West, not as I'm being presented. And then I'm also speaking here as Naimatu Abdullahi, not as Jaiz Bank. So let's make that first.
We are having a lot of disclaimers, Hajia.
Well, Alhamdulillah, it's actually an honor for me to be here. And it's women inclusion, is something I'm actually passionate about. In Islamic finance, like you said, is where we have a platform that provides justice, fairness, equity, and allow risk sharing and also social responsibility. I want to say that from years before now, women have always been enterprising, because even from our mothers, even in the villages, and I still believe they are very resilient in their businesses and everything. So even in our homes, they do little businesses. They have a susu, even if it is not in a kind of adashi that they do even in the home, and they use that money to contribute to the day-to-day, economic activity of the home. Now, if you come back to what opportunities or products Islamic finance has given, to bring in women into the system, using, for example, the products available, I can tell you that Islamic finance has all the contracts to finance any other facility or any other financing activity, provided it is Sharia compliant. We have all the contracts of partnership, Mudaraba and Musharaka, which we use to almost finance almost everything. So if you're looking at business at the micro level for what that women do, what they need at that level is not like the loan per se that you say, except if you're looking at the Qard Hasan. Because, the financing activity of commercial banks today is going at 30%, and that does not exclude the Islamic banks, because they are also regulated equally, within the environment. So, and they have to also make profit. And there are investments that need to, investors that need to reap their profit. So, if you look at that, you take, I don't know if there is any Islamic bank that will do Qard Hasan at this level. I haven't seen that, because what Qard Hasan is you give somebody a loan without expectation of, any addition in return to the loan you have given. And for a commercial bank, that is profit oriented, I'm not sure if that is going to work, but it is also a product that can work for, women inclusion. We can say, okay, probably, if we have people like the Inia course, with their program, this is something that they can work. And then we have the Mudaraba. It is a very beautiful product where it is a partnership with, the person that have the money and the person that has the expertise to turn out the money and make a business outfit out of that, a business income out of that. And because as a financial institution, the risks attached to Mudaraba is quite high, because it does not require, based on the terms and conditions of a Mudaraba, where all you do is you give that money based on trust, and the person running the money or the venture based on Mudaraba does not have any, how do I put it, any all the losses, let me put it this way, all the loss of the profit is generated and shared. The profit sharing ratio has to be agreed upon from the beginning. I have 10,000 naira and I want to give you, for example. From the beginning, we will agree, okay, whatever profit is generated, I am the capital provider, so I will take 60%, for example. Or because since you are going to be the person that is going to be on the front, in front of the business, you take, let's say, 60%, I take 40%. That has to be agreed from the beginning. However, if there is a loss in a Mudaraba transaction, I, as the capital provider, have to bear that loss. The only loss maybe that you will bear is if it is established that there is actually negligence on your part and that has caused that loss. So for that, opening it up, as a financial institution to the whole populace, and then you have to give people money based on trust. We know how things are, so it's very difficult for us to work that. However, there is a program that Jaiz Bank did, which was actually something very benevolent and popular. The JAFIC system, Jaiz Financial Inclusion Center. It started in Meadua. We extended centers to in Katsina. Meadua is in Katsina. Some of the other centers are also in Katsina. What that product does is it brings people together. It brings women, for example, into cooperatives, not the kind of cooperatives that will demand, the chairman or whatever, but they have a like-to-like business, and they can access, each individual member of that cooperative can access up between 10,000 up to, 100,000. And what it does is that every week they come together, they calculate whatever profit they generated each. That is pulled together and it is shared into three. 1% is given to you as the person that have done the business. 1% is put together for the cooperative, and then 1% is given to the bank as a kind of, profit sharing. And what the bank does with that is that it creates an insurance opportunity that will cover for, loss of life, incapacitation in business, such that at every point in time, even if a member of that coordination is not able to pay, insurance will pay. The only other thing that the bank wanted to do was also to have like a health insurance scheme that will also cover, whatever illness that may come, but we couldn't get any HMO that will take care of that. So if we have something similar like that, it is something that can work very well. But you find out that, okay, it involves so much, time, supervision and everything. Would all commercial banks want to do that? This is something that probably we need to take it outside the commercial banking. But we have a lot of microfinancing. This is something that a microfinance institution can take up. This is something that even the government also can take up. And then part of what we have also included in that graphic is the fact that they will be trained on financial literacy, and then what that gives them opportunity to save at the same time, grow their capital, and then they move out. So Mudaraba is also very, very, a very good product for women in inclusion in business. And I believe if we are to do that at a large scale, it will also help, the rich.
Thank you very much, Hajia Naima. At times we have to take some I don't want to say negative issues to our disadvantage. But however, the marginalization and the stereotyping to women entrepreneurs, we have to take advantage of the Waqf and the Qard Hasan to our benefit. Yeah. So with the chairman of Jaiz Bank, Murtala Inyako, and other prominent individuals, we have to see how we are going to metaphors the concept of offering Qard Hasan and Waqf, even Zakah, to the less privileged. So Aisha Bala-Wunti, as an entrepreneur, we are moving towards you to see how do you think this widening gap, this is what we want, the inclusion of women entrepreneurs in Islamic financing. The conventional banking system, as we have been hearing, we don't want to say have failed women, but actually the access, the usage, and the quality of financial services are not really benefiting women the way it should be. So in what sense, in what respect do you think the product of Islamic banking system can benefit women entrepreneurs to reduce the widening gap? Thank you, Hajia Aisha.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I think I'll say that Mr. Mudassir said our mothers. I'm going to say that we have some daughters.
Have 3 minutes.
We have some daughters on the panel as well. So for me, the way I like to look at it, so I'm a venture capitalist, and I don't think that free money builds economy, which is the major problem that I think we have in Arewa. We focus a lot on NGOs and grants and trying to see whose uncle is related to who and where we can get this kind of money. So I think I'm going to back Hajia Naimatu when she said a lot of our commercial banks will not be able to sustain themselves if they focus a lot on the works and the Qard Hasans, because it's free money. I don't know that you've ever heard of any wealthy entrepreneur that we have, any of the Tony Elumelus that we have, or the Dangotes that we have, who built their empire from receiving sadaqat. 90% of the people that you give sadaqat to consistently come back to you. And so I don't think that we will build sustainable economies. The way I like to look at it, and I'm not an Islamic finance expert, so I won't go so much into products, but the way I will say you should think about it is that I think we've looked at including women in business, including women in the economy as sort of like a charity, sort of like an equity, social good. It's a good kind of thing to do. But actually, the McKinsey studies show that 90% of businesses that have like diverse leaderships produce 20% more revenue than counterpart companies who mostly have male leadership. You can also talk about the fact that 90% of women, and this is, I think, a Boston study or something, but 90% of women will reinvest their revenue into the economy. So that means building hospitals. So you're building your healthcare systems, you're building your agricultural systems, you're building all sorts of things that the everyday woman is investing into, as compared to men who will only put back 20 to 30% into the economy from their revenue. So you have to look at it from a point that actually bringing in 50% of your economy into financial inclusion is more about economic empowerment. It's not necessarily about, oh, this is a good thing to do, we should definitely throw in a female on the panel, right? It's actually that Nigeria is losing trillions of naira by not creating financial products that can sustain the types of businesses that women have across Nigeria, and in particular Arewa. So there's money that's being left on the table every single time when we're not financing this women. How do I think we can go about it? It's simple. You need to have more women at the level where you are creating this product. You cannot create a product that solves my problem if I don't tell you what my problem is. So from the start, can we look at the financial institutions that we have? How many women are actually in position of executive capacity and not just another quota that needs to be filled? We need to definitely have at least 25% female directors. How many are actually in that position? Let's look at what, for example, the MD of Zenith Bank has been able to do. Last year, I think she walked away with all sorts of awards. I don't think those awards were given to her because she's a woman, but it's because she produced impressive numbers, right? So if you look at it that you are financing women from a point where you expect them to produce returns, I think it automatically changes the type of capital that you can bring to the table, which I think is the other important thing. Commercial banks are not built to finance all kinds of businesses. And so we put a lot of emphasis on trying to get them to do the charity, trying to get them to do this. They have quotas to be met, right? We have all sorts of financial products that we can bring to the table. There are multiple types. So for example, I'm a venture capitalist, and that produces financing for new ideas. I don't know anybody who walks up to a commercial bank and says, I have an idea, this is my pitch deck, I can pitch to you in 3 minutes, it's in my head, I can pull a team together and they'll get money. But here we have the likes of Paystack, who are getting funded in tens of millions of dollars just based on the promise of an idea. Why? Because they are able to identify the part of the market that they exist in and then tap into the capital that is available to fund this. So what am I saying? I think we need to have expanded studies, and I think the former panel did a very good job of giving us like a case study. So if you take the results, for example, that Sebori Farms or Sebori Groups has, right, and you see that, okay, when they started, they had that 75% of women at development. What does that tell you? That tells you what the women of those communities are into. Now, they've somehow also closed the financial gap. And so all of a sudden, you have alternative means of putting like a credit system around them, right? So they're not going to be able to meet like the collaterals or bring you all the documentations that, for example, a commercial bank would. But if somebody said they were interested in funding, I wake up one day and I say, I want to become a financier of women that are milk suppliers, or I don't know what we would call them, right? But if you do that, you're able to sit down, properly look at the Islamic products that are available and design innovative products that will cater to that particular market. If you do that, you're also then able to go to the other end, who are the investors that will give you the capital, right? A bank is not going to give you the money to finance that kind of business. But there are high net worth individuals that are probably looking for where to get some form of return. They might not be looking for example, commercial bank rates in terms of profits that they expect from their money, but they might be able to do it not just from a financial return perspective, but maybe just for like an impact perspective, right? And so say you give them 15% and then they say, I'm okay with 8% because my remaining 7% comes from the impact that I'm trying to create, right? So we need to really understand what are the businesses, where is it that women in Arewa have their strengths? And we sit down with these women to cater and create the kind of products that can finance the kind of businesses that they are involved in.
Thank you very much, Hajia Aisha, for your well-articulated speech. Actually, I don't want to say anything at this point because we are going to hear from a hybrid woman. Yeah, we are going to now have the both sides, the practice and the academics, the theory, I mean. So Associate Professor Shukurat Bello is an academics and as well as practitioner. She's a social entrepreneur. So that is our manner bagardama. We are going to learn from her whether the concept of redistribution of wealth, I will call it, from the haves to the have-nots, to create social enterprises, especially towards targeting women entrepreneurs, can be a driving engine to the growth of the economy. Actually, we have so many indices that are driving the economic growth in this country. We want the women entrepreneurship to take the lead. Associate Prof. Dr. Shukura, you have the stage.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Do you know I'm happy this afternoon? Because I have people in the financial sector and I'm covered. You see, we are making one mistake. You see, Jais is not going to fund me. Taj will not do that. Lotus will not do that. Because most of the businesses we have are nano or micro enterprises. They are not created to do that. We should focus on microfinance institutions, microfinance cooperative, so that we'll be able to get the needed fund we need for our business. I'm a student of entrepreneurship. I teach sources for fund all over the university. And I always ask myself this question: venture capitalists, angel investors, are they really Islamic? Are they really Sharia compliant? We always teach it. It's theory. She said theory to practice. And that is one of the reasons I went to write this IOFI CISA exam. I really want to know, what are the standards? What are they saying? And I have a lot of mentees, though we don't have mentors. Aisha is my mentee. We don't have mentors. Yes, we don't have mentors, but I have a lot of mentees because I identify people with potentials. Women, I don't mentor men, I don't need them. I identify people with potential, I bring them close to me. Some of them are here. Even yesterday, one lady I met her, she said, her name is close to mine. She said, please, I really need your help, and I'm going to help her, inshallah. And students have been coming to me, Malama, what do we do? The moment you step out of a class, we go around the faculty, somebody will follow you. How do I get finance? I say, finance where? It's not anywhere. You have to start from sourcing your own fund at individual level, from friends, from families, from savings. Though it's not easy to save, but you can do it. We have a lot of fintech that can do that for us now. So that's why I say we are making a lot of mistake by going to JAIS to fund our micro businesses. We need to develop a new model. I've written a paper that I'm thinking of a way of developing a digital model for that purpose. And I want to concentrate on Islamic social finance because I think it's going to help us, not the commercial finance. That will really help women. I'm interested in women, and that's what I do. And if you can go and look for me online, most of the things I do, even my PhD, is about women. Because I know what we have faced as women. We have gone a lot of way. Nobody is there to mentor you. Nobody is there to look up to. So if we are able to develop a new model, we have to consider some factors. Yesterday, some people were saying that we don't need government. We need them because the infrastructure, the regulation, they are there to do that for us. But the private sector is the driver. In this case, we need a lot of enablers, people that will make this thing happen, that will do it consciously. We have to bring up the enablers that can bring the private sectors, the government, the risk capital, which is the one we need, not necessarily bank, high net worth individuals, wealthy individuals, people that are philanthropists, they are ready to donate. And don't forget the community. You know why most of our policy, our model fails? Because we neglect the community. This is northern Nigeria. We have our norms, we have our values. We can't borrow Igbo model and start bringing it. It's not going to work here. Let's look at our peculiarity and design a model that is going to fit into our system, especially for women. And we can do that. Digital has made things easy. We can do that by using digital model. Though some people may argue with me that we have the infrastructure in the rural areas, but there are a lot of things we can do to make that happen. I'm passionate about women and I'm passionate about microfinances because it's not easy. Initially, we started Shafana Innovate Up because of changing mindset of the northern women. You want to change their mindset. We have our own personal problem. We all know the women. Am I lying? It's not really the men that are stopping us. We have our own personal problems. We believe we cannot do it. But one thing I've realized that Kano before was not like this. I've been in Kano for 26 years. And when you go to forums, it's hardly you see women. But now, when you go to forums, you just say like 50-50 because women are coming up. Everybody wants to learn. And I believe when we encourage these ladies, Ummahani, Aisha, I think you have a lot to do. You have to go home here today with a lot of mentees, because that's what they need. If you have mentors, you can follow the path easily. But if you want to do it on your own, it takes ages. So we need to identify our sisters, our daughters that are willing. Look at the word willing.
Yeah.
Those that are willing, that have the potentials, we have to help them. And that's one of our tasks we need to do today. And again, we should not forget, we need collaboration. Aisha Bala-Wunti, I'm going to collaborate with you because I have an innovation hub and we are mentoring women. We have many ideas, startups. So we need to collaborate because we don't see ourselves as competitors. Those in the innovation space in Kano, they know if they have any program for women. If it's for men, I don't go. Call me. I'll mentor the girls for you. If
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay. So we need a lot of collaboration.
Yeah.
The era of competition is gone. So we have to collaborate if we are really looking for meaningful development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Before we round or we start asking questions, you mentioned mentorship, which is a very good aspect, and I'm a humble mentee here. Well, I don't know. We really need to redesign the mentorship programs. We really need to redesign. In the course of your discussion, you mentioned the triple helix model in another term, whereby the university, she's there, the industry experts, and the private organization, the government, will come together to collaborate in order to redesign this mentorship of women entrepreneurs in order to move forward. Prof, can you shed a little light regarding to that? Especially taking cognizance of social capital and social enterprise.
Assalamu alaikum. So some people used to tell me that I do so many things at once. I'm also designing a model though for students. And it's a digital model too, where you can meet your mentors irrespective of where they are. I'm taking a course in the university. They call it character learning and mentoring. And that was when the idea came. And I've partnered with some of the faculties within the university because they chose their mentors outside this country. And now ask the question, how do they meet? How often will they meet? So we sat down and looked at the sustainability model. And the only thing we can think of is digital. So there is another model designed for university startups, where they can meet their model irrespective of where they are. And there is one unique thing we are adding is about the alumni. If you finish from the same university, there is this interaction. The day I learned that Ummahani finished from BUK, I was so happy because this is, even if you don't know yourself, the moment you say BUK, everybody will be happy with that. So I think we need to, Dr. Aisha, what you need to understand is that situation determines the solution. Let's study our environment. Let's look at our peculiarity. In that case, you have to look at the causes, the real concern you have in your locality, because before you can provide a solution, there is no best way. That's what management says. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Shukurat Bello. It has been a wonderful session, actually.
Sorry.
Hajiya Ummahani,
yes,
you have
please.
something to add?
Yes.
Thank you.
So all of this, Aisha and Prof, everyone has been talking about it. Especially Aisha, I've heard you. All that you said is correct. But then, is this our reality? Our reality is we don't have, like you talked about mentorship. We don't have that. We don't have anything to hold on to. Most of us are not educated enough to even understand that we can actually go and get this. This is why we have the Islamic Finance Conference. This is why we're looking for solutions. And what are the solutions? Nobody is saying they will give you Qard Hasan like that. You just go and come. No, it's not sadaqah. When I was explaining, I wasn't explaining about any woman getting freebies. No
free money.
No freebies for any woman. I do not believe that. And I had explained that I had had family and friends who thought, oh, okay, maybe I just needed help, and they will give me money. And I feel that our problems are deep rooted. We don't get anyone to mentor us. We're not that exposed to understand that this is our reality, and that's why Islamic finance. So you have tools like the Islamic microfinance institution. If you want to go up there, okay, they will listen to your ideas and all that. So I believe that, you know, creating institutions like that are woman-centric, for example, can be able to solve half of our problems. I was consulting for DFID, and I gave them, they had a project for Kano, Kaduna, and Jigawa. And as I was consulting, and I gave them the idea of, let's create a women's bank. That was in so if we create a women's bank, it means that every woman, whether you're educated, you're not educated, you don't understand, you will know that, oh, okay, there's a space where I can go and get some sort of financing. And then this will be, okay, the mentorship, the venture capitalists, everyone will be on ground to see that we support. So a woman's problem is not a problem. We are the ones that are the problems. We feel restricted. We feel that we're being biased upon. And I feel that we should all put our heads and say, okay, I am a woman, understood, that I am a woman. I have all the challenges around me, understood, but what can I do to be able to make up for this thing? And that's why, that's why we need to collaborate. Us that, like you said, that are able to do it, put ourselves together in a room and bring people. Let's start, you know, mentoring and assisting people. And the Islamic finance products of Waqf, of zakah and all that can be able to assist all of us women and to see how we can prosper. So it's not about reading book and reading, it's about reality.
Hajia Ummahani, you have pointed area which I am always interested in, that is the concept of social capital. People are actually underrating the power of social capital. This amount of relationships you mentioned, your friends, your family, your spouse, the neighbors, colleagues. We meet a lot of people in this kind of events. Amounts to the power of social capital, the networks you have, the relationship we have that will take your business to the next level. The social capital is the origin of the financial capital. It can give you access to financial capital, the psychological capital, the human resource capital, all sort of capitals needed by a woman to set up her business can be achieved through a solid foundation of social capital. And the social capital will lead to creation of social enterprises and the microfinance banks, as you said, where women will get a lot of assistance. Hajia Aisha Bala-Wunti, as Hajia Ummahani said, we don't encourage women to go asking for sadaqah, for zakah, but they are part of the social Islamic finance instruments. It's against. But a woman that is needed to be empowered really need that social capital. And the social capital, Qard Hasan, if I'm not mistaken, Waqf are all part of the product of social capital or Islamic social finance, which I think we can really make use of it. Thank you very much. Before we round up, I think we are going to have 3 questions as the MC suggests. Let's start with the man.
Well, thank you very much. I think there is a notion that we need to correct here. May Allah have mercy on Mama Taraba. May Allah have mercy on her. When I remember, I was invited. It was my first time of having contact with her. I was invited to ICC in Abuja to make a presentation at her launch of the He for She program. And I made a speech. Some of the things I said I cannot remember. One of them is that I have grown in an environment of he for she. Meaning, we, the men, supporting women and doing everything possible to make them succeed in life, intellectually, economically, socially, and whatever, in whatever capacity. You see, we're talking about mentoring and mentorship. Grand Mentor General is here, Dr. Usman Bugaji. He mentored those who mentored us. And he has continued to mentor us till today. But the interesting thing is, the type of mentorship they have given in the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria and up to the Muslim Ummah, the National Islamic Center, is one that is for men and women. And sometimes you feel there is bias in the mentorship towards women more than men. So if some people have not got mentorship, that is of course possible. That is in one angle, but there is mentorship. The small me here speaking, I can tell you with all humility that I know I have mentored hundreds of them. Some are authors, some are public speakers, some are doctors, PhDs now, some are into NGO activities, some of them are into da'wah activities, they have become scholars, some of them are this, some of them are that. And in the organizations I made reference to yesterday, the Zakah and Waqf Foundation and Intenzim Investment Cooperative Society, if you go, everything is at least 50-50, at least, because I believe, and I like the idea when I first saw it from one of the great scholars who said that any society, in a Muslim society that decides that women should stay at home without doing anything apart from, their normal relationship with kasan yawanci, in our traditional society, manyan kawayen mata guda biyu ne a cikin gida, hayaki da ƙura. Da safe in sun tashi su yi shara, in sun gama su shiga kitchen su yi girki, and that is the end of the story. But there is a lot they can do for the society. If we accept this, it means that at least 50% of the society is dependent. And imagine a community of Muslims in Nigeria that is not less than 150 million. You're saying if you have accepted that women should only stay at home. And at home even at home you can do a lot anyway. But if you say they will not contribute to societal development in different ways, you are saying that at least 75 million people are not contributing to the development of the society. That is very dangerous for the development of that society. So I believe in this. And I believe that we can do a lot in supporting women in this direction.
Thank you very much, Alhaji.
Sorry.
And on behalf of iFink Media, I think I can call myself a mentor to Mudassir. We started this journey long ago, around 2016. So we are going to appoint Alhaji Lamido as Secretary General to our Qard Hasan Microfinance Bank. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So
question number 2.
We need the second question.
And then 3. Okay. All the men are asking us questions today.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ali Habib Abubakar. I am advocate of gender equality in Islam and girl child education.
So you are another he for she.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So my question here is, in the process of we advocating for gender equality and also empowering women.
Yes.
We kind of find it difficult because at times you see, whenever in a situation you are all leaders and you are all women. So in a situation whereby, okay, something ever happened, we are passing a mantle of leadership to our successors, but we have almost all the audience are women, but no one wants to apologize among the women. So I kind of find it somehow that I have to keep them and give them orientation. We have more than 30 women, but none of them wants to volunteer. So I have to keep them and give them orientation. And gladly, just a lady volunteered out of 30 or even plus. So I think the women needs orientation so that they can also, I believe a woman is naturally a leader. So women need orientation to, I feel they're kind of fearful or something. So they need that orientation to be bold.
Thank you very much. I think,
and I want to know what measures are you taking to make sure that happens.
Thank you very much, Haja Ummahani. Can you say something regarding to that? How do we develop women to have more confidence? And
first of all, it's not a men equality here. No. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about how we can empower women and how they can be up there, in different strata of life.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are not here for women rights.
Yes.
We are here for women empowerment.
No, we don't need to say Islam has given us more rights in this world than any other creation of Allah.
Thank you very much.
So Alhamdulillah, we don't have to argue for that. What you're saying is absolutely true, and that is what we are coming to speak about here. How do women get confidence to say, this is what I want to do? How does a woman who has been in a space where she got married at 14 or 15 and she had her baby, and then her husband dies when she was 17 or 18, and then how does she become sustained? How does she become dependent on what she can be able to create? And that's why we're here, and that's why we said Islamic finance has a lot of products. When we kept saying Qard Hasan, a 17-year-old from the northeast does not know how to go and borrow money from the bank. She doesn't even know how, but she knows that she wants to maybe make hair to get some money, or make some turaranguta to get some money and all that. But how does she get that money? And that is why all of these structures in Islamic finance are there to assist our women to be able to pull them out. Because if you have a 50,000 and you're able to return it, then 100,000, then next time your ideas are big, you're able to go to the normal Jaiz Taj and Lotus to say, okay, I want, this is my project. Or you're able to go to a venture capitalist to say, okay, this is my idea, I'll pitch it. But before then, from the grassroots, Aminu Yako had said how he had done with the farmers. Remember that these farmers are not educated.
Thank you very much.
They do not know anything how to go to school.
Inclusion,
yes,
hand in hand. At times there is this theory of egg and chicken that they say they don't know which one comes first. Is it financial literacy or financial inclusion?
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, you mentioned education. Financial literacy really has to come first before the inclusion.
Yes.
You have to get the awareness, the knowledge before you have the access, the usage and other things.
My mother has never been to the four walls of a bank. She has never been into a bank. She doesn't know how a bank looks like.
Yeah.
But she has been able to inhabit, and a lot of other women in Maiduguri, they don't know how to go to the bank. They just know how to buy their jewelry. If you have a problem, I'll ask my mother, please, I need money. She'll think about it. Okay, come. How much is a gram today in the market?
Yes.
Okay, take this. I think it's 4-point-something grams. You want 3 grams? Go and bring it and bring the money to me. So this is a form of, this is how they know it. If you ask her, okay, take this money to the bank, she will say, Subhanallah, I cannot go to where anything riba-based is happening. Those who eat from it, those who play with it, those who give you the money, all of them, the scripts that are in trouble, and I do not want to be part of it. And a lot of other women.
Yes. So you see, the education, the literacy will let the women know that Qard Hasan is not anything that will lead you to, or anything close to riba or whatever you are saying, right? But Haja Aisha Wunti, we are really going to return that money. It's not a free
if I chip in and say that I think, to your point, the gentleman who asked the question, right? And maybe in the process of explaining, my points sort of got miscommunicated, is that we need to understand the type of mentorship and the type of capital.
Yeah.
So it's not that there's not a place for Qard Hasan or like Zakat, but just as you said, those are supposed to fund social enterprises. So, right, what happens if you have a biochemist, for example, who graduates and thinks that they found a cure for cancer? Does Qard Hasan fund that?
Yes.
It can,
we
but
need
not
to hear
to-
from
okay,
Haji Ali
okay,
Ima.
I think-
Let Haji Ali Ima respond to that.
Okay, I think like we said initially, Qard Hasan is actually a product that you can use for financial inclusion. Now, but as a business owner, or let's say a venture capitalist that wants to grow that fund, will Qard Hasan be the best for the growth of? That is what we are saying, myself and Aisha, because you see, what we are trying to explain is that if you have a fund that you want to use for social financing or for empowering women, it is something that has to be sustainable. It is something you cannot keep going to people and say, give me, for me to give as Qard Hasan. Now,
Yes.
you have to use a model that you will use that fund, and that fund will be repaid and it will grow for other women. If for the first instance you have like 100 people, with the little you have added through Mudaraba or Murabaha, it can give you an additional amount that will grow that capital. So the next phase you roll out will now give you like 150, 200.
Yes.
Which one is better when you look at it? Will Qard Hasan be better or with this? And then let's look at even the traditional woman that has been in her married house, even in the 4 years of our parents. They've always been in one little business or the other. Some of them even do kitso, because that's what they do in the house and that's how they make money. And out of that, they put, like I said, either they enter adashi, the esusu that we know, or they have a small piggy bank that we call it now, called banki,
Yes.
that they save something. That what they say, if they look at it and give it maybe a period of 1 month or 1 year or whatever it is they bring out is enough capital, and that's how they use to fund whatever activity they want to do, even if it is biki, because in a traditional northern environment there's always biki. My daughter is getting married or I've given birth, everybody will contribute and bring to me. I have to save because I know that everybody that has given me will also one day have something, to do, to celebrate, which I also have to give. Now, if I go back to his question, we're talking about, we're not talking about gender equality, like
Not at all.
but gender equity. How do women come out also
Fairness and justice.
Make their mark in the economic environment? And okay, fine. The traditional setting of the northern environment always, project the women or the ladies as very shy. It doesn't give them that opportunity. We're very lucky here to have this opportunity. It's because of the background that we have had and the support that we have of our parents, of our husbands, of our relatives.
Absolutely.
Do every woman in the north have that support? It doesn't. Okay, how do we make maybe the woman in Bebeji, for example, not me that I'm in Kanu, because when we're talking about micro businesses, we're talking about the people that are doing this business, or that you and I that have gone and done our degree, that are even thinking of venture capital, that are thinking of the phone, the technology. No. We're looking at people that are in the rural areas.
Yes,
That some of them have not gone even through Islamic education.
Yes.
The culture around that area does not even allow them to do their husband supports them. I came up from a background, I grew up, in a house that all of us are girls. We're about 11 of us, only one boy, 12 of us from my mother and my father. And where we came from, even the men as at that time do not go to school 100%. Maybe the highest primary school.
Yes.
My dad had an inspiration. He knew that he wanted something. He doesn't have anything to give to all of us. But he said, okay, fine. But because he's also exposed, How many of the he or she are exposed here? To say that, okay, this is what I want my daughter to do, or this is what I want my wife to go through. So really, for those women, what we will need for them to do is a lot of advocacy.
Thank you very much, Hajiani.
financial, advocacy in the sense that keep encouraging them to say their mind. What do they want to do? What is their goal? What is their, what do they want to achieve with even coming out to be part of that your association?
Yes.
So if you have that, encourage them.
I think we need to have a school open for mentoring.
Thank you very much.
Let's move to the next question, please.
Yes. I don't know if we can hear one thing from Dr. Shukura before the next question. We want to marry the theory and practice again. We have the social enterprise business model and this work of the other hand. How do you think we can merge and marry them together in order to at least solve this problem?
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
Can I go ahead?
Okay, Dr. Shukura first.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, thank you for that question. We have seen a lot of models all over the world.
Yes.
Like the Grameen Bank, though that one is more of microfinance, it's not about work-off. But I think there is a model of woman work-off in Egypt that they have really helped the small business enterprises. So there are a lot of models going around, but the problem with us here is that, just like the former speaker said, we are not exposed. So we need a lot of exposure. The information is there. It's just for us to sit down and grab the opportunity, and there we move. Assalamu alaikum.
So thank you very much. The last question. Oh, we have no more question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Okay.
My question goes to Dr. Shukura, and it goes like this: that the issue we have, I work with Central Bank of Nigeria, and what she said is actually the truth, that what is going to create financial support for micro businesses is not commercial banks. It has to be microfinance institutions. And from our own point of view of regulators is we have had a series of gap between skill and the institution we have. We have, for the North, we have high turnover of microfinance institutions going under. If you go and check the number of the license cancelled or revoked by CBN to microfinance, you will see the high number of licenses coming from the North. And along the line, during our supervision, you will notice that the people managing those institutions do not understand the concept of micro-lending. You are not supposed to have a microfinance institution competing with a commercial bank or DMB. A microfinance institution is supposed to model its own business towards the kind of businesses around its environment. You've gone to microfinance institution, you'll see that there is regulatory skills that's supposed to be obtained by the management. And you'll see the number of the staff or the management staff not having such skills. This goes along that there is a skill gap, and also there is a disconnect between our institution, most especially in the North, likely in Kano, and the institutions that are in the environment, our immediate environment. Because if there is a business, we have a business school, there is functional business school, excellent. This kind of business failures supposed to be a thing of concern or a thing of study. What led to this number of turnover of such businesses? And also the review of the skill gaps in those institutions. If you go to Lagos, I've been to an institution in Lagos that all of the staff are ICANN chartered. While we are struggling in Kano, you see the number of number of staff that have the required skills to move such businesses. The bank staff do not even have the skill to know what their customers need. That's the reason why the business will keep on crumbling, and the immediate environment is not supported with the economic benefit of such businesses. In the past few months, in Kano, we have about almost 30-something microfinance that we have around large number moving to Southwest and large number not doing any business. I've read in Introduction to Islamic Finance given to us here, CBN license to Islamic finance institution, microfinance institution in Kano. One has already gone under and one is not active. So there is an apparent gap between the skill set, institutions, and those, that is education institutions and those enterprise. I want to implore that what BUK, specifically Dangote Business School, is doing to identify such business failures, find a mitigant, and support such businesses to support the economy of the Kano State. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shukura.
Let's take the last question, then we answer it complete, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. I'll just keep it short. Okay, my own is to Haja Naima and the Prof. We know the concept of Grameen Bank by Muhammad Yunus, a little Waqaf, a little Murabaha. Why can't we marry it and have something for our women in Arewa? They are going to be monitored, they are going to have a group, and they will come together to monitor each other, and they will perform. If you give them Waqaf, they don't have a skin in the game, they will go back and sleep. But if they know that failure of one person will result to the failure of other members of the group, they will be on their toes. So I know Hajia, Naima, Jaiz Bank can have something like that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Dr. Shukura.
Assalamu alaikum. So, challenges will always be there. I was talking with somebody, sorry, I will use the word here. I say most of the financial institution staff we have around, they are olodo. They don't know anything. I'm serious. Because when you ask questions, I was trained as a business management student. I grew up to love entrepreneurship, and I'm into Islamic finance now. What stopped them from learning? That's it. They now say, no, it's not our fault. The fault is from the organization. What stopped the organization for giving them training? We started as GAs, for instance, with our first degree, and we were trained to be PhD holders, and we grew up to the level of professorial cadre. That is training. But you bring a staff in and you don't train them for what? We go to conferences, we are encouraged to go all over the world. I know I've been to a few countries. Train your staff. If you cannot give them that capacity building, you are not in business, you are just wasting your time. So, Dangote Business School, we have a lot of short programs. I think I can advertise here. So,
thank you very much.
Yes. If your staff don't have that capacity, I'm into so many, even in my department, they know me. I can fit in, even in medicine. So,
yes,
I'm here to train them. So, meet me. We'll design the curriculum. We'll look at the areas they are lacking, and we are going to give them the adequate skill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shukura. One more comment from Hajia Aisha Bala-Wunti. Will you answer the last question?
Let me try to remember. Can someone remind me of the last question? I remember the first one, but not the last one. Just a summary. Does anybody remember?
The last speaker, can you summarize your question?
Yeah, we should develop our own model.
Okay, so I think one thing if I leave saying something, right, it is that the issue that we have, and it buttresses to all the questions that have been asked today, is that we cannot take turnkey models from other economies and just try to replicate. So my point being that there are different types of capital and there are different types of mentorships for the different types of capital. And so we must identify the types of businesses that we have in Arewa. That's where I think the role of people like Prof come in.
This is domestication.
What is it? And then what are the kind of finances that can fit? If the microfinance model doesn't work for us, there's crowdfunding, there's digital crowdfunding that's being done now.
Yeah.
There's the world of like the angel investors and venture capital. You cannot use, so for example, you can't take capital from a bank to use to develop like to the example I was giving before, biomedical drug, right? Because you would have spent like $10 million in doing your development, and it is a constant loss.
It is.
So there are different places to get these different types of capital. That model that you're talking about might not necessarily fit into what we have until we understand the realities of what are the types of businesses and then expand into what are the types of capital. We will stop looking to every institution to expect them to provide capital across everybody. So my point is, you can't have, like, no matter how amazing like your KISO service is, you cannot go to a JAIS and ask for funding, right? But there are social enterprise types of financing that is meant for that. Vice versa, maybe like as a venture capital, I'm able to give you financing for that. But then with every type of business and with every type of structure, the adequate mentorship on how to access that now becomes, that's what you now need to identify. So again, I think this answers like a lot of the questions. If you have women that are in positions where they're able to take up leadership, is that the same type of mentorship that you give the housewives who are trying to promote to just start a business that gives them a regular income? It cannot be the same. If you have graduates that are coming out from science and technology-based courses, the type of capital and the type of mentorship cannot be the same across all group. Yes. So there is a space for each and every type of product that we've spoken about here. My point is, where I think we lack is that we have not done the research to identify whether women-owned or just across board, the types of businesses that are prevalent in Arewa and the types of capital that will be vital in financing this to ensure sustainability of our ecosystem. And until we do that, we cannot then have financial institutions and also have proper trained personnel that are able to sell and utilize those financial products. It's like you can't take like what works in the West and just directly bring it into the economy and expect it to work, right? It's the reason why, if you look at probably like the JAIS and the Taj balance books in the Southwest, specifically say in Lagos, it cannot tally to what we have here because the types of businesses that we have are not the same, even on the commercial level. So again, just to say that the type of mentorship, the type of capital, is very important that we identify what our businesses are so that we can channel people to the, if you line up at a bank from now till thy kingdom come and, you know, all your what you're trying to sell is like your KISO service, you're never going to get. So it now becomes a statistics that JAIS doesn't fund women businesses.
Yes.
But it's unfair because it's not the type of capital that they provide as a commercial bank.
Thank you very much, Hajia Aisha Bala-Wunti, for this
Okay, moderator,
contribution.
excuse me, before you conclude, there's an observation here.
All right,
for
thank
a
you.
minute.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I was on that side yesterday from a different perspective. I will say that I'm really, really excited. I think this is one of the best panels I have really enjoyed.
Thank you very much.
Because it really speaks to something that is really dear to my heart and to the heart of an organization that I identify with. A lot has been said about Waqf models, Qard Hasan models, what will work, what will not work, what needs to be done. So I stand here today to say, well, I have a model that we have tried now for about 4 years, and alhamdulillah, it has worked to a certain extent. We're growing, we'll get there. We got a he for she, as you have been saying, that trusted an organization, an Islamic organization that I belong to, with some funds. He's passionate about women. He said he really, really wants to help women. And he's worked with us on a scholarship project, and he now wants to work with us for a woman empowerment scheme. He wants us to empower women. Yeah.
Thank you
And
very
he
much.
deserves, you know, at the time, he gave us funds that no one has ever gave us before. And because of the background I have from the financial sector, especially regulation, I structured that fund into a Waqf model. And we called it a Women Empowerment Waqf. We did not touch a dime of the seed capital. And that is the discussion you have been having there. If we give it out as sadaqah, it will crumble, it will collapse, and the impact will be minimized to those few months or years that we give out. We invested the funds, we segment our, we modeled it into a revolving loan model. So we invest the seed capital, we get our returns, and we give it to entrepreneurs. We don't give it to just any person. We give it to women that are either starting businesses or they have businesses. And they know that those funds are not free.
Yes.
You go and do whatever you want to do, we monitor you, and you give us back our money. And alhamdulillah, we invested the first funds in December of 2020. Right now, as we speak, we've grown those funds to over 350%. And we've not lost a dime of the capital. Yes, we've lost some money because, of course, not every entrepreneur will succeed. But what I'm saying is we can do so much by really adopting models that we see can work within our environments. And why I'm excited about this is I have now seen partners, because we started with individual, disbursements. It really doesn't work. We now, turned our focus to working with cooperatives that have the same kind of purpose. They are obligated. They have, they have interest in what the cooperatives becomes. And so we work with those cooperatives. And now that I've seen Prof here, I've seen Aisha and some of you, I think we've got partners, because we really, we take this as an amana. We don't want that fund to collapse. We want that fund to grow. And within 10 or 20 years, we want that fund to be like a model. And we are not a financial institution. We are an Islamic organization. So I think these models will work, and alhamdulillah, we'll form those partnerships. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, I think my dream is coming true. Initially, I was like reluctant, but with this hope, I think we are going to have the Qard Hasan Women Microfinance. We really have backing and a model that we can really make it a reality. So actually, this session is all about financial inclusion of women in business. And the major concept in financing in business, especially social Islamic finance, is the concept of redistribution of wealth. Yes, we can't run away from that. We want to redistribute wealth from the haves to the haves not, as I mentioned, and also promote the risk sharing contract formula or model, as it contradicts the debt-based conventional financing. And I think with the rich and enormous contribution we got from our powerful panel, I think if we are given the whole day, we are going to even request for extra. Yeah. So, alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of this session, and we really thank the panelists for their wonderful contributions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that interesting, amazing women panel.